Hey guys, thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of Self Reflection Podcast. I am excited to be here today. Happy New Year's to every single one of you. I hope that 2026 is going to be the year where we get to manifest all the goals and dreams that we have for ourselves set up this year. So today we are going to be talking to Bryce Savoy.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. You got it.
I was like, let me say it slow so I can get your name right. Bryce is originally from Oakland. I'm going to let him introduce himself and then we'll get into a conversation.
Yeah, what's up, everybody tuned in? I'm Bryce Savoy from Oakland, California. Been living in Los Angeles for the last 8 years. Artist, storyteller, father, and just a neighborhood diamond. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Why'd you move to LA? Not to just jump the gun.
No, that's a great question. So I moved to LA for a couple of reasons. I think the primary reason at the time my dad was living out there, and he'd been living out there like for most of my life. And so I knew at one point I wanted to just be close to him in the same city. Like he spent time out here in the Bay Area, but he moved permanently when I was about 11 or so. So I knew, I wanted to get close to him just to build our friendship, get that manhood training that that's definitely needed and necessary. So that was the first reason. And then the second reason was the time I had a girlfriend. We broke up, so it worked out, but it was like that she was out there. And then lastly, and also equally important, just wanted to expand. Like for me, I love my city. I'm here through and through. I'm Oakland through and through. But I had a lot of great experiences just traveling, not only domestically, but internationally. And I think those experiences shaped my perception and perspective and wanted to just get out and spread my wings. And so I love Oakland, a small city with a lot of impact, but I was like, I want to kind of get started to my next chapter, next phase of my life.
Yeah.
And, it's still California, but it's different. It's way bigger, more space. And so I feel like I just have more space when I'm living in LA.
Yeah. I want to touch on something you said. You said you moved to LA because you wanted to be next to your dad and get that manly training, however you want to put that.
Yeah.
As a Black man, that rings a bell to me when I hear you say that as a Black man. Why is that so important for not just you, but for Black men to be able to get that type of nurturing from a man? It doesn't per se have to be their biological father, but from a man.
Man, that's another great question. I think it's very, very important because I think being a man, right? You're a man growing up in America, a Black man in America, and Black women, obviously, they go through some of the same struggles, some of the same plights, even and more, in most cases. But I think it's just something about someone who has your same experience as a man. I mean, that's just the easiest way to put it, I think. Like, you have somebody who can relate to you on every level. Like, just like us as men, we can't relate to women giving birth, right? We can't relate on that level. We understand it. We can kind of like be there for the experiences as parents, of course. But it's just different to have that manhood training. I think specifically for me, it was very important because my father was in my life. And to have an active father to lay a blueprint and lay a foundation from everything that I have experienced and will experience in life, it was priceless. And I looked at myself growing up to have that and then see some of my friends, some of my loved ones not have that and notice the difference. There's a void there. There's a void, that's a part of life growing up. We all have these different voids in our lives that we're trying to fill. In some ways are, not so healthy. In some ways are healthy. And so I felt like that's always important for me, just to kind of have somebody that's been through what you've been through, can relate to what you're understanding, and just telling yourself you're not crazy, because sometimes it's hard. Like if you talk to just, your partner or just your mom, it's great to have that because they provide a specific thing that a father can't give. But I think that was everything for me growing up, to have both.
Yeah. And for Black men that are absentee fathers, because you are a father yourself.
I am,
right? What kind of I don't know. I don't want to say advice, but what conversation would you have with Black men that are absentee fathers? And sometimes it could be intentionally, and sometimes it's not intentional. So we
Yeah,
want to keep that perspective there too.
yeah. I think the main thing is just like understanding that's like, I think in my opinion, like being an absentee father could be one of the biggest mistakes that you could make in life because one, you helped bring this person into this world. That's one. Two, that person, that son or daughter that, ends up growing up without a father, they're missing a part of their identity. Now, like you said, in most cases, not in most cases, but I know cases where that was the case for, somebody I know. They didn't have their father in their lives, but, like you said, men stepped in, uncles, grandfathers, family friends, like, and filled that gap to where, look up 30, 40 years old, they don't really miss not having a father. But all I know is me having a father, that was everything. So it's hard to say, to even fathom that experience, like even growing up on both sides of my family, having fathers in the household or just active fathers is everything for us.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that's like to not have that, to be honest. And so I can only like speak on it, but I don't never want to come off judgmental because I don't know people's circumstances and experiences.
Yeah.
But all I know is what I had and what me having that has done for my life, and what now that I've had that, I can pass that down on to my son. He could pass that on to his kids if he has kids. Like, so it just wanting to continue that cycle and continue that narrative in my legacy and my lifetime is important.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I also think you touched on something that really important. Identity. Not having that could feel as if they're losing their identity, which I think is absolutely true from my perspective. Right. That's a big part of like who you are. That's like they say like a mother's love goes so deep to a point where if their child gets in an accident, the mom kind of knows.
Yeah,
Like,
I heard that
and I
before,
feel like
yeah.
it's the same way for a father. I think fathers might not show it like that, but
Yeah.
I think that kind of connection is still there.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the part that I've grown to realize as I've become, older and older adult is that specifically I think for men, just how we may be conditioned in society, we need a father or a male figure to reinforce our manhood. Now, what I mean by that is that you grow up and we can get into the specifics of like masculinity, what it is now, and how much it's changed, how much it's evolved, which I agree with. But just on a basis level, it's like only a man can kind of reinforce you being a man in terms of just saying, I see you, I validate you, whatever the case may be. And that goes a long way for men. Now, if we don't get that from men, we tend to put it, to be honest, to pour that or like look for that in women. And a woman can't validate you as a man because they're not a man. That's just a reality. And so I think me learning that, I had read a book. It's called Wild at Heart. The author is escaping me right now, but it's online. And once I read that, it made so much sense. Like I got that validation from my father, from my grandfather, from my uncles. So all the men, my cousins, the men in my life gave me that confirmation, that affirmation. And because of that, I was able to kind of go out into the world and be confident. But one thing I will say that we talked about earlier, like the absentee part, right? So my father was always present, but like I told you, when he moved to LA and he wasn't physically here, that really affected me a lot. And even to this day, like feeling abandoned, feeling neglected, although the decision that he made was one of financial and to get stable and to like really have what he needed in his life to pour into me even more. I understood that as I got older. We had conversations about that, but I still felt that. And still sometimes even more now he's gone, that abandonment, like why couldn't he just be here every day? Now, I don't think I had the illusion of him and my mom being together. Like, we grew up, maybe at some point I did, but it wasn't really that. It was just like the fact that I couldn't see him, talk to him, and just have his physical presence every day. That did affect me. And I'm only saying that because if I felt that, imagine somebody who didn't have no their father at all could feel. I can only imagine that. So I don't know. I was always somebody, you know, a sensitive, observant kid growing up. So I think I just, you know, process these things differently on a deeper level, and that's what I kind of gathered in my journey so far.
Yeah. We're going to talk about your documentary because that's kind of the reason how we got connected.
Yeah, yeah,
I saw a video of you talking about your documentary on
sure.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what the documentary is all about?
Yeah, documentary is called Big Bryce Son. How I look at it is really just a coming of age story of me losing my father and becoming a father in the same year, 2024. My father passed away New Year's Day, right? Just New Year's Day, unexpectedly, tragically. And so I was processing that, and then a couple of months later, you know, getting the news that I'm about to be a father. Fast forward now, I have a 1-year-old son, and so and who had and has some like health challenges and issues that we've addressed and are currently addressing. And so really it's just that. It's just learning that I'm, you know, through like some of the toughest times of my life, I'm transforming, transitioning, and kind of in a sense evolving into the man that I am now. And so that was the theme of it. It's only, you know, it's 30 minutes, so it's you know, mid-length documentary. It was my first one, something that I, you know, I executive produced, and it's the first production under Neighborhood Diamonds Media, my brand, and everything I'm focused on now. I'm a storyteller at heart. Even with my music, I've always had a storytelling component and perspective on it. And so doing the documentary was really, looking in hindsight now, I wanted to create something that not only captured the moment in time that I was experiencing, because I knew it was like unexplainable in a lot of ways, what I was going through, like a very spiritual journey. And so I wanted to document that. So that's something that I'll always be able to have for the rest of my life and for generations to come. So that was one. And then two, ultimately, I think I just wanted to find a way to process and kind of heal through my experience, right? Because I didn't understand it, you know, like why these things were happening to me, how I felt. But what I learned in the process, it really wasn't about me. It's about other people to see themselves in this story, because it's a story of loss, which we all experience. It's a story of legacy, which we all experience, you know. And so through my artistry, through my creativity, I wanted to just show, you know, that like there's beauty in darkness. Like my whole purpose is Neighborhood Diamonds, and who I am, how I see myself as a diamond in the rough is really just, you know, under all, no matter what the circumstances are, it just shining my light. And what that really means to me is just persevering. Through all challenges, like no matter what, just persevering. And I know it's easier said than done, but I've put a lot of time in and had a lot of like life altering experiences to like really put that to the test. And so that was like the purpose of it all.
I'm sorry to hear about your dad passing away.
Thank you.
And I know New Year's is coming. How are you processing this moment? Because it's a heavy period, right? When something like that traumatic happened.
Yeah, I think so. This New Year's is coming up will make 2 years since he's passed, right? Obviously, last year it was definitely tough. Just thinking about just replaying that, and I don't know, I feel like that's gonna be a, you know, an image or a thought in my head that's always gonna pop up. But I think as time goes on, it's just to kind of move on and kind of live life. You understand that whatever happens is out of my control, and you know, God forbid, unless something happens to me, that I'll be okay. And I think that that's something that I try to think about. And I just love the fact of a new year. You know, you get to renew, you get to restart, you get to just recalibrate. And so I just tried to like not, I mean, I definitely think about it, of course, but I try not to like be fearful of what may or may not happen. Try to just be present, enjoy the moment, obviously honor him, and just celebrating being amongst family, community. That was something that was very important to him. So I just try to go into the new year like that. So I'm excited for the new year. I'm like, you know, it's a lot of stuff that I've gone through since 2024, but we here right now. So that's a testament that, you know, I'm in a good space. And that's the thing. I'm not what I'm trying to say. I'm not overwhelmed. I know what happened. I know that that's something that I'll still, I'll always be working through. Like you said, traumatic, very traumatic, right? And so ultimately, I think as I get older, as I mature, as the years go on, I just, excited about what's to come and what's next and how I can continue to be a light in everything that I'm doing. And so I think my main focus going into the new year has always been that. And 2026 is, it'll be the same.
Yeah, I love that. We're gonna dive into your music a little bit here.
Yep.
2 of your songs made it to season 4
Yeah.
of Bel Air
Yep.
and also on Kiki Palmer's show.
Yep. Yep.
How did that journey come about?
Yeah, so first with the Bel Air, so we got 3. Like, I mean, season 4 is 2 for sure, but
Yeah.
I started season 2
Yeah.
of Bel Air, and so that was the first sync placement, and then like you said, the Southern Fried Rice on Key TV, which we got a lot of controversy. I don't know if you've seen that on TikTok. Yeah, so if anybody watching this, if y'all know, essentially Southern Fried Rice is a short like episode series. I think it's 7 to 8 episodes on her network, and it's about an Asian woman and her experience going to an HBCU. And so when it came out, when the first couple episodes dropped, there was a lot of backlash, a lot of people, online bashing the show and the writer. I think Nakia Stevens is her name. Great, she's done a lot of great work with Kiki Palmer and on her network. And so it was just a lot of controversy on that. And so that was funny, and I'll just get that real quick and go to the other Bel Air. But it was interesting because I actually went to HBCU. I went to Howard.
Oh, nice.
In my opinion, the best HBCU out, the Mecca. And we had people that weren't black there too. Like, it was maybe I can count on one hand probably, but I didn't feel no way about it. And so it just goes to show you, I feel like just bullshit, bro. People would just be, I think, complaining about anything. So that was that. Like, but nonetheless, that did get a lot of attention, a lot of attraction because of the controversy.
Can you expand a little bit on that? Like, why were people upset? Are they upset that there's an Asian woman that went to a black school?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. So I would say first and foremost, one, I think people just find something to be mad at. I get it. We all, the world is in a crazy space right now, so we got to look at something. But I think on a main issue that I've seen and I understand, it's because this is a HBCU, a historically black college and university, right? And people were saying, well, what's the point, or why are you trying to put our platforming an Asian woman when there's so many other black women that go to HBCUs, of course. And so why not highlight them? Like, why show this person? And the other side of it too, I also saw is, unfortunately, the history of racism with the Asian community against black people through the history of time, like those things too. So they're like, people were saying both things, which I understand, right? But I think as creators, our job is to tell stories, not also always the stories that you want or that you like, but the stories that are relatable. And actually, the writer who wrote this show, I think she spoke on it. Like, this was part of her experience. She's a black woman, but she had experience with people of other races going to HBCUs, and so she's just writing from her own experience.
Yeah.
So that's really the backlash that came from it. And people were doing stuff like exposing her, saying she's not really black. It just be very negative shit, to be honest, and like low energy stuff.
Yeah.
And I think people be miserable. That's the reality. And people be having too much time on their hands and just finding the issue with anything. Not to say that I don't get it, but for me, somebody who actually went to the HBCU, I don't feel no way about that at all. It's like, that's cool. Like, I mean, and now fast forward, funny enough, I just seen something online. There is an Asian brother that's at Howard right now. So it's like, okay, there's some reality to this shit, whether you want to see it or not. Like, and don't get me wrong, like those spaces, HBCUs historically are safe spaces for us to exist, to not have to like give up who we are, can just be ourselves. And I got a lot of that from that experience. Like, that changed my life and just made me like very proud and have a strong identity in my blackness. And I had it before, but going there just amplified it. So I definitely understand that perspective. And wanting something, and it's a whole idea like, damn, we can't have anything for ourselves. Like, as black people in America, we can't have anything for ourselves. And so, like I said, while I understand it, I'm like, the critiques is like, man, whatever. Like, it's still like nonsense to me, because we also talk about a black woman and black cast and a black staff of people who are being hired and employed and getting to show their talent in ways they probably wouldn't be able to do beforehand. And so
Correct.
that's what I would say on Southern Fried Rice. Check it out. My song Respect featuring my boy Drebo. It's on episode 1. So the first episode, like right in the opening credits almost, you'll hear it. And that was just something that they had a submission or like was accepting submissions online. Like they just posted it on Instagram. Somebody sent it to me. I went and you know, sent the email and sent the songs, just not knowing, just sending it.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they picked it up. And so that was great. And then Bel Air, like you said, that's just something that again kind of just happened and fell in my lap. You know, a family friend of mine, called her my auntie. She is Miss Carla Waddles. She is the showrunner for Bel Air. So that's, I don't know if you know your audience knows, but the showrunner is like the main person responsible for making sure all the aspects of the show get taken care of.
Yeah.
And she, you know, being a family friend, she's familiar with my music and stuff, and she had the music department reach out season 2. And that was the first time that that wasn't the first time that I got a sync placement. The second time, but that was a full circle moment because you know, living in LA, I've always wanted to do that. Just have my music on TV shows. I watch a lot of TV shows, me and my partner. And so I was like, man, that would be a dream come true. So for it to happen that way, not only once, but like you said, 3 times now on Bel Air, which is like a, you know, like just a special show, like a reboot of obviously Fresh Prince, which I loved growing
we
up.
were just talking about that as well.
Yeah, so it was like, it's just a blessing. And it's really just a testament to me, just like how I always look at these moments is that I don't have to change who I am. I can be exactly who I am and these opportunities happen. Because doing music and being in this space, you see people, you can be comparing yourselves, you like, man, you see people getting opportunities that you want, and unless you are like doing things that are outlandish or just very polarizing, let's say, online with content and shit like that, it can make you feel like you're not doing enough. And so anytime I get these opportunities, it reminds me like, no, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
And you're staying true to yourself, which in turn will show other people that you can do that as well. And that's important to me. That's what I pride my career on. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and it's been a slow and steady build up. But so as I get older, as I continue to kind of persevere, these things happen. And so that's it. All that stuff is a blessing for real.
Yeah. I love the fact that you talk about staying true to yourself and not changing for like society or, you know, or feeling the pressure of our society today, especially living in the US. I feel like our society is more materialistic than where I come from.
Yeah.
Right. So I think not falling into that society pressure to me is somewhat of a flex. Like,
that is a flex.
Staying true to like who you are and doing what you're doing.
For
to
real.
Me. Like, you know.
But not to cut you off.
Yes,
but
please.
That's a great point because when you said that, to me, if you can be yourself and continue to be 100% authentic yourself in whatever area or expertise or passion you're chasing, what that tells me is that you're confident. Because for better or for worse, you're saying, no, I am enough. I am enough. And again, that's something that I got in my household and just growing up. And so I'm seeing now how much it helps me. And not to say that I don't have those moments where I'm like comparing myself or like, you know, impatient, not confident, fearful about something, but I never let those things control my actions and who I am. Like I want to be able to say, whenever, you know, my idea of success can constantly evolving, but whenever it's all said and done, I want to be able to look in the mirror and go to sleep at night and know I did it the right way. I didn't take any shortcuts. I was myself the whole time.
Yeah.
And the results is just the fruit of that hard work and that authenticity. And so, no, you hit it right on the head. That's everything for real.
I agree. And also just like giving yourself permission to allow yourself to evolve as you grow, you know, as a person. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Self Reflection Podcast. Before we continue our conversation, I want to ask you if you've yet to subscribe to Self Reflection Podcast, please go ahead and hit that subscription button. I'll greatly appreciate it as we look to grow our community here on Self Reflection Podcast. Also, I want to thank everyone else that has already subscribed to Self Reflection Podcast. You guys mean a lot to me. You guys mean a lot to this community. So let's keep growing. Let's continue to grow Self Reflection Podcast. I think, Self Reflection Podcast to me has become this, I think, gateway for me to connect with the community, especially out here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Like moving to the Bay Area and also moving away from San Jose, which is where most of the people I know are there, and moving out here to the East Bay. I would say the first 2 years or so, it felt really isolated. But as I continue to do this podcast, I feel like I'm somewhat building a community that, I can feel connected to and relate to as well. So again, if you haven't subscribed, I hope you subscribe to Self Reflection Podcast.
Subscribe, for sure.
And we continue to share amazing stories like this, right? I also saw on your TikTok, to get back in that conversation, y'all.
Shout out TikTok. I just started posting a lot this year, so that's dope that you're seeing it.
I saw that you are trying to raise 25K. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I know a little bit from watching the video.
Yeah, no, like you just said, Neighborhood Diamonds Fund is my first fund for Neighborhood Diamonds, the brand and everything that I'm doing and pushing currently. And really the goal was to, after just getting the feedback of, telling my story and having screenings for the Big Bryce Son documentary and just seeing the impact, seeing how people were connecting with it, it was like, you know what, I want to tell other people's stories. That's really my goal. Yes, this is the first one and it's centering me, but the focus isn't me. It's to tell other people's stories, like how you're doing with this podcast, the same way, just in a different format. And so, and that's something I've done. Like if you go on my YouTube channel, Neighborhood Diamonds, on YouTube, you'll see that, I've done it. I've done it, here and there throughout the years. I've tried to always do it, and things didn't work out in those moments, but I needed all of that to get to this point.
Yes.
And so what we're looking to do now is season 1, raising the funding to be able to shoot season 1 of Neighborhood Diamonds. It'll be probably like 7 to 8 episodes, just really highlighting the journeys of creatives, the ups and downs, the failures, the struggles of starting with creatives in LA, because that's where I'm based.
Yeah.
And so I want to do that first, and then the goal and the dream is to take it to other places. So, it'll be, a season in Oakland, highlighting different creatives who are, diamonds in the rough or who just need more spotlight.
Yeah.
And so 25,000 to shoot that, to produce that, and just to really just tell people stories. And I think, that's more important now than ever with the current administration and the way that the world is. It's like really being able to have control over our stories and having people and trusting people like myself who are looking to show the best in people.
Yeah.
We all got some negative in us. That's just what it is. Like we all have some stuff that we, necessarily like per se, but my goal is to expose the best version of Black people in everything that I do. And so that is the goal. So yeah, if y'all listening to this, y'all tuned in and y'all like what you guys heard so far, be sure to donate at givebutter.com/neighborhood diamonds. So just really NH diamonds. And I'm sure we'll, put it in the episode. But yeah, that was it. I was just, and to be honest with you, it's very scary because this is the first time that I've asked for help in this way. Like doing music for like 20 plus years, I prided myself on just, being an independent artist, putting up my own money, moving at my own speed, just having more control over my artistry. And, I have projects and I have stuff that people have bought and invested into, but this is the first time that I've like just asking for help. And it's been scary. And to be honest, I'm like going into the new year, I'm like just trying to continue to work that muscle and just be confident that, this is something that's worth investing into. I know times is hard for a lot of us just financially, but I know that there's value in this. And so I just have to continue to keep pushing, to keep saying it. So thank you for even bringing it up. But the Neighborhood Diamonds Fund is live.
Yeah.
It's the first one too.
We're definitely gonna add the link and
Please do.
everything
Yeah.
description in the podcast episode as well.
Yep.
I want to bring us back to Oakland, where you somewhat grew up in.
Yep.
Growing up in Oakland, DK and I were kind of talking about this, and we're kind of talking about how when you're building in a space like Oakland,
Yeah.
right? Are people here to uplift you up and pick you up? Or is everyone still in that mentality? Not everyone,
Not
obviously,
really.
but is that mentality, that cutthroat mentality, like I have to step on you to get to where I need to go?
Yeah.
Do you think that is still there a little bit? Or when you were young, was that something that you experienced for yourself?
So that like you said, that kind of crab in a barrel mentality.
Yeah.
I think that just exists everywhere.
Okay.
To be honest, and I think it still exists here for sure. Because when you're dealing with poverty, when you're dealing with different things, that's just a part of the environment. What I will say for me, that hasn't been my experience. People uplifting, and I think really that's because of how I pour into people. That's because of how the energy that I give. That's how I show up. So I think that's really what it is. People are just reciprocating the energy that I'm getting. I'm giving them. That's what I've gotten. And even growing up, growing up, I think maybe some ways I just never really I tried my best to focus on things that matter. And that stuff don't really matter to me. It's something we have conversations about. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, me and my homies had them conversations about shit, and I may be frustrated and talking about certain things, but I don't really subscribe to the idea that people can prevent what's destined. I don't care where it's at, who it is. Obviously, it hurts. It hurts if people from your own home don't show that love. But what I'm learning now is that people are getting older, people are getting more mature, and slowly but surely, through my persistence and being consistent and really confident in my own abilities, the people that believe and understand what I am trying to do, they support me. And these are people that I've grew up with since fucking elementary school, even before that. So those same people, for the most part, are still intact. That live here, they're still here. I can tap into them, and to be honest, what I'm learning is to do that more. Is to to ask for support more, because it's like you just get on this journey and you get on this grind and nothing else matters, and you forgetting to not only ask, but you got to pour into other people. So I can't, I can have this fun and pushing in, say I need money. That's great. But what are you doing, Bryce, to pour into other people? How are you investing in other people? How are you supporting other people? It can't just be a one-way street.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned really just recently, or really kind of took to heart. So when it comes to Oakland, we in a small city. We in a small city. So you're going to have some of the same pressures and some of the same issues that plagues all cities, especially Black people, just because of our history and what we've gone through. And so I definitely think it's a part of it, but I just try not to even focus on it. I don't really spend my time thinking on that, because if I did, I think it would slow me down. I'm on a mission right now, so I'm like, all right, whoever believes in that, whoever can see that, let's do it. If not, no love lost, no hard feelings, but I'm just on a different path. And so that's how I look at it. But don't get me wrong, it's here for sure.
Yeah, that definitely echoes in the room right now. I think one of the things that I've been telling myself, because I feel like you said, something that you've been learning, right? I think it's a mentality as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been telling myself is community over competition, right? It's one thing that I'm just really draining in my mind, because at the end of the day, we're human, right? And when you're in a journey where you're trying to build something like what you're trying to build, it can't feel sometimes as other people are doing the same thing and you want to compete. And I feel like the more that I've been saying community over competition, I've been aligning more into people and spaces that vibrates on the same frequency of which I am trying to vibrate on, which
that's powerful. And that's the thing too. So I'm in that same frequency. And I think I'm kind of going back to what you just asked me before, because that's a powerful question. And I do think about that a lot. But what I've learned about myself, and man, I never really said this before on camera, but people got to think, for me, specifically me, Bryce Savoy, 13 years old, I spent 2 weeks in Europe, 13 years old. That's one experience, right? Fast forward to me I turned 21 in Barcelona, Spain. I studied abroad for 4 months my junior year at Howard. Fast forward after that, after graduating, I spent 7 weeks in Vermont at a Spanish immersion program. All Spanish for 7 weeks, no English. And then not to even mention spending 2010 to 2015 in Washington, D.C., 2,000 miles away from home. And so I say all of those different experiences shaped my perspective. I saw that it's more to life than Oakland. But yet and still, Oakland, I carry it with me everywhere. Like on my hand right now, it says Forever Oakland. So that's the code that I live by no matter where I'm at. But I'm only saying that because when you have those experiences, you have no choice but to like be different and think differently.
Yeah.
If I didn't have those experiences, maybe it'd be a different. And I say that because a lot of people that I know and grew up with just weren't afforded the opportunity to leave Oakland. They've been in this in this bubble their whole lives.
Yeah.
So you got to understand that if that's the case, if that's the experience, it's limiting you. And with those limitations, you kind of start, engaging in, I think, behavior, energy that's all you know.
Yeah.
And so I understand that. I come from that. And to part of the reason why I think I try to like be here, but also live other places is so that I can never lose that ability to imagine, to dream, and just to see far beyond where I'm located physically.
Yeah. I know our environment definitely shapes our perception of the world and also shapes our belief system of how we see ourselves and how we see the world. Based on your experience and you traveling, what advice do you have for like a young boy or young girl that is growing up in Oakland and don't see that, like don't have that opportunity or don't see themselves outside of living in Oakland?
Damn. I mean, it's hard, to be honest. I think now we talk about like just resources, right? And I was fortunate enough, I grew up middle class and middle class family, single mom, took care of, myself and 4 other, people, and including my brother and cousins. And so she just always, because of her, she always made it work, and she knew that I like the importance of traveling for me. And so I think if you're like someone like a young kid that may not have those opportunities, I think what you have is your imagination until those things, line up. That you can't never like. That's one thing I would say, like, out of all the things that my parents have taught me and poured into me, one thing that I just can't say thank you enough to them that they've given me is the ability to dream. Like, I've never in 33 years lost that. And with life and as becoming adults and things, tragedies, circumstances happen, I feel like every person starts off with that, having that ability to dream and imagine, but life takes us on different paths, and over time we lose that.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to lose that, and that's something that I'm very adamant on pouring in or giving to my son and any kids I have in the future or anybody around me. Like we it's our right to dream. It just that unfortunately life sometimes takes away that right, and it's up to us to keep fighting for it. And so that's my main thing, is just try to dream, try to imagine. And I think I'm of the belief that, and I've been that way since a kid, just didn't really know it, but we always know, like, in our heart, what's the thing to do. Like something that's continuing to pull at us, something that we know. Like, I've always had that intuition about just my life. I'm looking back on things that happened in my childhood, and there was something always in me, whether right or wrong, whether I wanted to do it or I did it or not. And there are consequences or positive results. I always knew what to do.
Yeah.
And so I think just also following that, like they say, follow your heart, which does sound cliche, but that's really the reality. And I think that's the main thing you can do, because it's hard to say, like, from a financial standpoint, if you don't have the resources or you don't know people who have the resources and connections and all of those things. I can see how it may feel impossible, but it's not, though. So just never, I would say that just your imagination, that could be reading books, take you to another place. I know people who, read so many books that their imagination kind of like physically catapulted them into a different life.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I think. And it's great questions, but I'm gonna be honest, like when I do interviews and people would say like, oh, what advice you would give somebody, I try to, like, I don't know why that makes me feel like what's the word? I get like nervous because I never want to like portray this perspective that I have it all figured out. Not to say that, you know, giving advice is that it's just wisdom. I'm learning that. That is wisdom. So I don't necessarily see it like that, but I don't know. I still be like trying to, in my head, I'm still figuring this stuff out. So it'd be funny when people ask me that. But I try to like give a gem, something that's useful, because people, we all trying to find stuff. Like you said things already that I could take and apply to my own life. And so I think it's important, again, for me to do that more.
Yeah, I used to feel that way a lot. Because I used to create, I still do, right, on social media. I try to create a lot of healing content.
Yeah.
And I used to ask myself, like, especially when I started, even the self-reflection podcast, when I started this journey, I didn't tell my coworkers that I had a podcast for almost 6 months or 8 months or so like that, because I was so afraid of the fact that who am I to even create a podcast? Who am I to get on social media and talk about all of these things that I have in my head, and some of the stuff that are like downloads from the universe, you can even say like that. I used to question myself, like, who am I? What gives me the right to be able to like tell someone about mental health and go deep in that space? But I feel like the older I get, right, it's like, if the universe is giving you all of these downloads and it has put you through all of these like trials and tribulations, it's because it wanted you to learn all of these lessons so that you can pour back into somebody else, so that they don't have to go through that path. At least when I think about mental health, right, and I think about other people struggle with mental health, I know what it's like to be depressed and like be in my room and not wanting to do anything. So I'm like, if I can support someone else to be able to not avoid depression, but know how to handle depression or see it when it's coming for them, then I feel like I have done part of my job here on this earth, right? I don't know.
No,
But yeah.
you 1,000% right. Because as you were saying that, I was just also remember how something I've been telling myself, like as of late, is that your lived experiences are enough. Like you said, when you starting a podcast, first 6 months, you're not telling your coworkers, because like, who am I? But no, your experiences, shape who you are. Like, this is who I am, and I have the information and wisdom and experience to give to somebody else that can help them. So you're right about that. I think for me, I am somebody that like likes to like lead and do these things by actions, not necessarily words as much. And my father was the same way, but I'm understanding like the power in talking about it more and really speaking it, like on the camera, online, whatever the case may be, and getting away from, because for the longest, I didn't even really like care to like play the content game as much, because I felt like it was inauthentic, or I felt like I was like being like forcing my artistry on the people. But now I'm like rewiring and recalibrating and changing that mindset to be like you said, this is a value. And as long as I'm providing something of value to people, I'll continue to show up. And as much as I can, right? I'm gonna just do my best. That don't mean I have to post every single day if I'm not feeling like I have something to give every single day. But now, whenever I feel compelled to like any idea or any thought, I, record it or share it. And like you just said, you found me on TikTok. So it's like, I'm understanding that too. Like, okay, there is people out here who, believe in what I believe and some of the same principles. And you gotta get that out, because I look at social media like a distribution platform. And it's free, right? Because the algorithm always changing, and it's not what it used to be in terms of just, I guess, growth in ways. But I love the challenge of it all. And I love the fact that I don't want to look back, 10 years from now or wherever and say, oh, I wish I would have. Nah, I did it. Put myself out there as much as I can. And the results, all the other stuff don't really matter. What really matters is, am I sharing something of value? And so that's what's big for me. That's why I really say like I'm the neighborhood diamond, because it's like my goal is to like, just provide value, to drop gems, which are, like you saying, is wisdom, and hopefully help other people, because at the same time it's helping me. Like you doing these podcasts, I'm sure like when you watch them, or you just like, that shit helps you, whether what you said or what somebody else said to you. That's something that you can always keep in your memory bank. So whenever you don't feel like doing it, you don't feel like posting, you can look back at these things and say, well, I helped someone and I helped myself, and I can look at these things to keep me going. And so I do that too. My whole thing too, I try to never get too high, never get too low, just kind of stay right here. And I think these things that we talk about allows us to do that. Allows me to do that for sure.
I agree. And, I also look at it from like when it comes down to like speaking, right, and talking. I look at it from like the spiritual realm as well, where we have the seven chakras, right? And one of them, I think one of the most important, they're all important, but like one of the most important is that throat chakra. It's like, it is, I think the power of the tongue, it's so powerful where I feel like people don't use it enough because of course society like suppresses us and tells us not to use our power of tongue. But I also feel like that is a program that they knew how powerful that of how the tongue is, because we're like, if we're going from like a biblical perspective, it's like the Bible says speak and shall receive, or ask and you shall receive, right? Whatever you speak to, you can speak whatever you want to existence. So I think like subconsciously society has programmed a lot of us to like suppress that a lot. And they knew that it's like, if I say I am, then I can create what I am,
It's and you like, again, like, so powerful, because that's what I'm learning. All this stuff is just programming. It's just conditioning. It's programming. It's childhood traumas. It's these experiences that just like inundate our minds that we can't even like think clearly, or even like, even myself, like, I'm like, especially since my dad passed away, I just been noticing even in my spirit, like negative thoughts coming in, and they've always, they may have been there, like, but like more than ever now. And it's like, if like depending on what state I'm in, well, most times I at first would just like, push it right away. It comes out, nah, that's not a real thought. But those thoughts are coming from whatever space it is, but that's not me. Those are my thoughts. And so even being able to separate that is very important to me now. But I learned, and the one thing I did learn when my dad passed away is that you got to give yourself, you have to experience the full human experience. And what I mean by that is that I get angry. We all get angry, right? We all get sad. We all get mad. We all get depressed. We all get tired. Like, that's a full part of the human experience. But if I'm blocking out the anger and telling myself that I'm not really mad, I'm not really frustrated, I'm not really jealous or whatever, that's doing myself a disservice, because I'm not allowing myself to experience the full range of emotions. And so when my dad passed away, that's something I think I was able to do for the first time ever. And it's honestly changed my life.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about your billboard in Oakland.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I want to ask you, if you are listening to this conversation and you have yet to subscribe to Self-Reflection Podcast, please go ahead and hit that subscription button. I greatly appreciate it as we look to grow our community here. Also, I want to thank everyone from the SRP family, right? Thank you guys so much for subscribing to Self-Reflection Podcast. Thank you guys for pushing me all through 2025. It was a really challenging year for myself, and I'm sure it was challenging for other people. So I want to thank all of you guys for pushing me, for supporting me on social media and sending me those direct DMs as well. It means a lot to me. We're going to get back into our conversation right now with Bryson. Bryce, tell us about like you getting on the billboard in Oakland, and several billboards actually, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, just one of those, like, I can't really like, well, I'll tell the story, of course, but it's one of these things that just happened.
Yeah.
And so how it essentially happened, for the Big Bryce Son documentary premiere in Oakland that we did in November of 2025, I collaborated with two brothers. So one of them is from the Bay Area, the other was from, I think, New Orleans, but they have a collective called Salon, and their whole thing is just like really curate experiences and be like a third space for people in the Bay Area to kind of just fellowship. And so we talked like, most of 2025 and about doing a screening together. So we started collabing on that between them and myself and my partner, who is my creative and like strategy person. So we were, spend a couple months talking to them, got a date, got a venue locked in. And from there, they mentioned or like referred to me a PR person by the name of Gardy. Shout out Gardenia.
Shout out to Gardenia.
Yeah, you follow her. I seen that.
Yeah.
So you know Gardy. Yes. What's up, Gardy? And GZ Publicity, her PR company. And they mentioned her. And they're like, yeah, okay, like, let's put us in contact. And so I'm like, okay, like, this is something that, funny enough, like doing PR and music, I haven't had that best experiences. So I was like, I wasn't apprehensive, but I was like, oh shit, here we go again. Like it's gonna probably be another experience. But lo and behold, from the first conversation, she just was, had great energy,
Yeah, she did.
was giving clear, like, here's what we can do. And so I was like, all right. So I, hired her. And from there, she was like, how the billboards came about, she put us in contact with Miss Kathy Adams in the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if y'all familiar with that, but definitely check out what they're doing and what she's doing. And so she's a powerful woman in the Bay Area and in the world in general. And so she was like, yeah, their whole thing is Oakland is better in person. That's their mission. And so they really want to highlight Oakland people doing things in Oakland specifically. And so she put us on a Zoom call with her and, told her my story, told her what we're looking to do. And at the end of the call, she was like, which was a brief 15, 20-minute call. She was like, you know what? I love what y'all doing. I'm going to gift you guys with free billboards. Now, this wasn't even in the plans. I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't even have obviously growing up, I had a dream to like have billboards in my city for sure as an artist, but I didn't think about it until she presented it. And then even with that, I was like, people obviously in life and this is just my jadedness of being an artist in this space for the last 20 years, but people overpromise and underdeliver. That's just the experience with this shit. So you gotta like, whatever. But lo and behold, that was probably like on a shit. It was a week. It was like the week of the premiere too. So it was like, oh, we gotta kind of act on this fast. And within like 2-3 days before the premiere, the billboards was there. And what's funny, my mom actually seen it before me. So I didn't even know, we didn't know when they were going to like actually show it. My mom called me screaming like, what the hell? I just seen you on a billboard. And I'm like, oh shit, this is real. And other people have seen it too. Obviously I went to go see it after. But that's how that came about. And not only that, she was like free of charge. Like, so I think Becker Boards is the company that actually produces the billboard. And so they were able to do that for us. And so again, that's a dream come true. And I think it just for me, it's a testament to why it's important to, like you said, put yourself out there. Because had I would have not created this documentary and then wanted to do a premiere out here and then, actually making it happen, we wouldn't have that connection and get those billboards. So I like those moments. Like I don't live in them too much. Like I like, it's great. Like the moment, it's like, wow. And then we keep moving forward. But again, it's something I can always look back to whenever I may feel down or discouraged. It's like, you did that. And people seen that. That's forever. People that I grew up with since children were able to drive on their like daily commutes and see that.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. That shows that's impactful. And not just for me. So I got to shout out to everybody. Salon, Gardy, the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, like I said, Miss Kathy Adams, Becker Boards, my partner Andrea. Like this was a team effort. So like you said, community over competition.
Amen.
And that's been what I've learned more and more this year about community. And I think that's been it's a buzzword now, I feel like a lot of ways, the word itself. But to me, like you kind of said, what it really means to me is pouring into other people. And then, in turn, that you just like planting seeds and everybody's a part of this community. And so that's what I've been. And these are people, mind you, these are people that I just met in the last 2 or 3 months. So I think I've learned too as I gotten older, you be thinking we have these childhood family friends that we've known all our lives. And you be saying, oh, you doing something, you want them to support you. Like, why they not supporting you? And it's like, we got to pay attention to people that you may just known for 2 months, 3 months. And that's just my experience.
Yeah.
And so I think the billboards, again, it was just another dream come true moment. So and it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this interview. It's just a reminder to myself, you don't have to change who you are. These things are happening because you are who you are and you're staying true to that.
Yeah.
So that's just a reminder to myself that I always just keep in the back of my head as I'm, navigating on this journey.
Yeah. Let's go a little bit more into your music, right? Because the music industry today, one could say, especially the African American industry when it comes on to rap.
Definitely right.
Right? Yeah. So, and one could say it's a little bit toxic. It's poisoning our kids. Yeah. I too have my own ideas about it or my own opinions about rap music. Yeah. Do you think you have a responsibility in our society today when it comes down to music?
Yes, 100%.
And how so?
Well, me specifically, like you said, I think that's everything. I think that if you're given a platform, especially such as a platform as powerful as music, hip hop specifically, you have to honor that. You have to like take care of that. You have to protect that. You have to nurture that. And so I love the opportunity to be able to show the world, hey, this is what a hip hop artist can be. And I'm not like scared of it. I'm not like, no, that's not my job, because I know how important it is. And I think that words, like you said before, words are everything. Power, of the tongue, or power in life or death is in the tongue. And so I think about that, every time I write something. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna cuss. Yeah, I'm gonna cuss. I'm gonna I'm just giving my experiences of how I grew up and how I'm currently living.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be positive. It's gonna be uplifting, and more importantly, it's gonna be good. So, yeah, I take pride in being an example and of what a hip hop artist can be, because it's not confined. It's like we're not in the 80s anymore where you had to evolve. We're 50 plus years into hip hop, and so as life changes, so should the music reflect that. And so yeah, I'm big on like just staying true to myself again, but it's power in just my voice and what I have to say, and I like honor that, and I don't take that lightly. Like, you would be surprised, even when I'm writing music, I'm consciously thinking about what I'm gonna say, how could it impact my son? How can it impact my cousins? How could it impact my brother, my mother, my partner, my family members? Like, I think about that. So because of that, there's certain things that I can't say. Now, it's frustrating. It can be frustrating sometimes, because it's like, damn, I wish I could X, Y, and Z. But I think the true test of an artist is how can you create within these confines that you may put on yourself, that are not really constraints. They're more of like I think just parameters, so that you can kind of still just stay true to who you are. Like, I just got to speak from my experiences, and so that's the only way I know. But yeah, I definitely take pride in considering myself somebody that to look after, or like to have a responsibility on what I'm saying.
I like how the perspective you look at it, right? It's like, if my son, my family can, if they do listen to this, how does that impact them
Yeah.
as well, right? And I feel like we're in a society where consciousness is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I think many artists are conscious. Like a lot of I think a lot of rappers, even those that rap about like, the violent stuff, I think they are extremely conscious.
Gotta be.
If you think about like just what they say, and you think about how depth it is,
Yeah.
right? Even though I know not everyone writes their own music, but there's a lot of depth in that. So I know it's not going to end in our generation, maybe, right? It's probably going to keep going.
When you say keep going, what part are you talking about?
I'm
like
talking
the violence
about
and stuff?
the violence, and the encouragement of violence.
When it comes to the violence, I know this is like a great conversation, because I think it happens a lot. But when it comes to the violence in hip hop, I think not to excuse it or condone it, but my thought has always been, these are the circumstances. So if we want the music to change, we got to change the circumstances. And now it's easier said than done, right? Because as you get older and life happens, you can't blame other people for what you do. I hear that side of it, and like it's getting crazy now when it comes to music. But I think it's just always a representation of what's always, since the beginning of time. I feel like hip hop has been a representation on what's going on in the world in America, and so I think it's easy for people to say, like, not saying you're saying that, but like the general narrative is like, oh, hip hop is is so bad, and it's it's killing, it's causing people to die, and whatever case may be. These are real. You do have real ramifications for what you put on these on your artistry. So I get that, but I've always been somebody like, well, if you want the music to change or whatever, evolve or whatever, however you look at it, we need to change the circumstances. And furthermore, it's all about balance. I think that the violence is very easy to see. It is so like polarizing, that it's entertaining and everybody's just tuned in. Like, I catch myself like, looking at stuff or watching videos and music from some of the street artists out here. But it's a part of the Black experience.
Yes.
So we can act like it don't exist and say, no, that's not hip hop, but that's a part of it. It's always been that way. And so I think it's just a sign of the times. And so I think my job and other artists' jobs is just to like just understand as you evolve. I'm not saying, because if you were to listen to my music at 17, 18, it sounds nowhere like how it sounds now. But that's because I had 20 plus years to evolve, to grow, to learn. And my father was big on that. Like, he was a hip hop student. So he always was like pushing me to like be true to myself, even if I didn't want to hear it. And so I think all of those things play a part in it. But I think it's a lot of dope hip hop artists out there that's doing great stuff.
Yes.
Myself, shout out Ashlyn Jordan, shout out G Molly, shout out Chima Dior, shout out to Belle Drebo in LA, my boy Phillip Banks. So it's all about where you're looking. And that's the thing too. Now, because of how the internet is, discovery is not happening as much. These streaming platforms, which are algorithmic based, they're telling you what you should like and what you should listen to based on your taste and what you listen to, you know, all of that stuff. And so it makes it harder for you to say, let me go find a dope hip hop artist that's like speaking about something. They out there.
Yeah.
They may not have so that's the other part of it, is like, what is being platformed and why is it being platformed? So I don't know. It's nuanced. Let's
That's
just say
another
that.
conversation, right?
It's nuanced.
It's like to be able to say like what's being pushed out there for us to see.
Because what it's about? It's all about, in that game, the internet game is about clicks.
Yeah.
It's about, you know, that's money. That's ad revenue. Like, these things are real things that I think we don't talk about enough because we don't understand it enough. It's easy to talk about, oh, how many views he had, how many streams he got. That's cool. That's a metric, but it doesn't tell the full picture. It doesn't tell the full story. And we're not knowing behind the scenes, there's these people, these labels, they have shareholders, which means there's money in that. And which means it's people that don't really give a fuck about what you're talking about, as long as it's selling money. Or is it making money? That's what, are we getting a return on our investment? Say whatever you want. Okay, y'all can kill 100 people in y'all song because we gonna make the money back. And so if that's the case, then we fight a different game. So you gotta be mindful of that. That's why I do value my independence. It's something that I think I wore for a badge of honor for so long. And I think it's value in that too. But now I'm all about getting help. But getting help where I don't compromise. I'm not compromising my integrity, not compromising my ownership, and not compromising my identity.
Yeah.
Other than that, let's play ball. And so it's a funny, I love that conversation though, because it's so many layers, and people can come and say, oh, X, Y, and Z is this. But the reality is we all trying to figure this shit out.
That's true.
And this wasn't designed for us.
Should we go there? No, let's get into that
would be a whole other conversation for like 2 hours.
I want to talk about your label, right?
Yeah.
Neighborhood Diamond.
Yep.
I think you kind of hinted this a little bit, the diamond and ruffle. But why did that mean so much to you, to be able to pick that?
Yeah, I think initially, because this is something that started, I think, like 2018 or so. And I didn't know what it was going to be at the time. I just something that I just like called myself, you know, brand. I'm trying to, like, you know, trying to find out as an artist a brand, a story. Like those are the most important things, in my opinion, for artistry. What's your brand? Or for artists, what's your brand? What's your story? And so for me, Neighborhood Diamond, and my whole tagline is representing diamonds in the rough worldwide.
Yeah.
It is to highlight those diamonds in the rough, and because a lot of times I feel and I felt like a diamond in the rough. Not that I didn't get, you know, the attention, but it was always something that was, I think, obscure but always there. And so that's one side of it, but the other side is really just pressure. Life has given me a lot of different pressure moments, and you know how a diamond is made is with heat. And so my thing is trial by fire. That's been the like story of my life, I feel like. And so it's really just taking that world and creating something for people who feel the same way. So anytime, whether I'm doing music, whether I'm, you know, shooting a film, making merchandise, it's always to like highlight those diamonds in the rough. And I don't know what it is. I'm not even saying I attract those people, but we somehow connect. We do great work together. I learn from them. They learn from me. And so it's just another way for me to really intentionally build community. And I think the reason why it resonates with a lot of people, because a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah.
They feel like they look out into the internet, they look out into the world, and they don't see people who think the way that they think. Everybody is, not everybody, but a lot of people just don't care about community. We got into a society where individualism is everything. We got away from, you know, collectivism and being a part of community. And so that's my job. That's what I'm doing with what I do. And that's, I just do it, like I said, through music, through media, through apparel. And it's something that's still currently building. Me and my business partner, shout out Maya Nicole. She's from Oakland as well, a dope singer. She lives in LA now as well. But me and her, in 2024, we started this idea called Creative Unblocked. And the whole idea of it is to bring creatives together from all different mediums, not just music, and work through our creative unblocks together by talking about our process, by watching videos, by sharing our work. And so it's just a way to like us as creatives to get out of our head. And I think for also too, what we're seeing that it's becoming is that people are getting a chance to redefine success for them on their own terms. And lastly is that my whole thing is not to make this everything. Like, yeah, I'm an artist, but this is not like the
The
entire part
entirety
of my
of
life.
you.
No, that's not
Yeah.
my entire existence.
Yeah.
And I think once that's very dangerous, because once you do that and it becomes everything, nothing else matters. And we as humans, we need community, we need family, we need love. And to just be like so hell bent on, I'm trying to get on and make $1 million and all that other shit, which is cool, I think it leads for a very lonely life. And so that's something that we focused on, and just really just taking like community. So I actually spent like 2016 to 2024 for like most of it. I spent that 9 years actually starting and helped build a nonprofit out here in the Bay Area called the Black Neighborhood. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but people who are watching it probably heard of it. And so, yeah, I helped co-found that along with, 3 or 4 of my childhood friends in the nonprofit space. And so I just taken that same approach, but just pouring it into the artistry and creativity. So Neighborhood Diamonds is still early. It's still early.
Yeah.
And so like I'm really like working to like build it, and the sky is the limit for what it could be. But I do know like storytelling will always be at the center of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Before we continue our podcast episode today, I want to ask you, if you've yet to subscribe to Self Reflection Podcast, go ahead and hit that subscription button. I'll greatly appreciate it. The goal here is to continue to grow our community as much as possible. I feel like the stories that we get to tell on Self Reflection Podcast, my goal is that other people begin to see themselves in it as well. And I hope that we continue to find a space where we all grow. I think that there's enough room for every single one of us, right? And we are all different in our own ways. And the more that we can grow as a collective, right, the more that our lights actually shine. Because I feel like if we try to grow just by one person shining the light, it's only one bulb that is shining, but imagine 10 other bulbs shining and how that can amplify. So if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscription button. It'll mean a lot. And for all those who have subscribed, shout out to you, and thank you so much for being part of Self Reflection Podcast. We're going to get back into a conversation here. When it comes down to mental health, because our podcast is somewhat in that space and self-development, right? What do you do for yourself to prioritize your mental health? Like you just said, you're human,
Yeah, it's a great question. To prioritize my mental health.
As an artist, even if you want to add.
Yeah, so specifically as an artist, obviously I'm an artist. So yeah, for me, it's so I'm in therapy, couples therapy, individual therapy. I did grief therapy when my father passed away, so that was great. So therapy for sure. Playing basketball, riding my bike, now running, so cardio, just getting outdoors. God, my faith, obviously that's the most important. So just centering myself. And then well, obviously music too. So I just have a lot of different tools that I've like picked up, hobbies, passions over the years. And so whenever I'm going through a trying time, I just pour into those things right away. Because I think if I let any time slip, you can get into destructive behavior. And that's just not where my energy needs to be at. And so I would say all of those things has been very instrumental and helpful. Talking to my, my community again, pouring into community and having community to be able to talk to. So I feel like I have a lot of different outlets, and it's hard, and it's still hard, especially with this because my dad passing away, is because I have a thing of like I never want to make somebody else, or feel like I'm making somebody else's my problem somebody else's problem per se, and putting that on there. But one thing I'm learning in life is that your burden is meant to be shared. So when I do go through stuff as best as I can now, it's like, to be honest, like, you know, I tell myself even a lot, like I could walk out of here and meet somebody or that I know and they say, how your day? And I'll say good. Like I'm just, you know, that's just what I've
Yeah.
learned, like a surface level answer, but it's like, am I really good? Like how am I feeling? Shit, my girl put me on like the feelings wheel. Really looking at that, because that was hard too, to identify a feeling outside of I'm good or I'm not good. It's like, what are the different feelings? And you may
Yeah.
just not have the language to even articulate that. So those are all the things. So I feel like I have a lot of different tools and resources that help me. Oh, and then shit, I would say another one is sleep.
Mm.
I get great sleep most times, especially when things are like a little stressful. I just try to like
Yeah.
reset by a nap. And that helps me a lot too.
Yeah.
And just having things to look forward to. And I know that, like, as hard as things may be, it's not permanent, and that I still have a lot left to live for.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. And when it comes down to you being a man and to other men out there, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about not being able to articulate yourself
Yeah.
and your emotions.
Yeah.
How important is it for um, men to be able to start getting into that space where they're getting those wheels, maybe,
Yeah.
for themselves, or have a partner that is as supportive as yours?
Yeah, I think that's most important for us as men. Like these things, to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to like talk about how you feel, that's strength.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To cry, if that's, if you need to cry, that's strength. And like I didn't, it took me probably most of my life to really like understand that that's what strength looks like.
Yeah.
And to do the opposite, you're just repressing it. It doesn't go anywhere. You think it does. You can just, put it to the back of your head and back of your memory for your childhood. But becoming an adult, whether you know it or not, those things are coming out in how you show up.
Yeah.
And so to just prevent, my whole thing with all these things too, like that's one thing I have to know. My whole thing is always to be at peace.
Mm.
Even when life is chaotic, I want to have the inner peace that nothing can like knock me off of my pivot, and I can just still be okay and enjoy life, because life is beautiful and it's short. And so I'll be like really encouraging, my homies and stuff, my other male friends, and they do it to me as well. Just hopping on the phone. How you feeling? What you going through? And my life is different now. I went from being single, living an artist life, bachelor life, to now I have a family. I have a partner. I have a kid. And so that shift
Yeah.
has, in a lot of ways, propelled me into that level of maturity to want to do that self-work and really talk about these things. And so I just see the importance of it, because I think that, like, I look at it like all of this other stuff, the time on earth is limited. So the distractions are the things that you can address. Let's address them. And let's show that it's strengthening that. It's strengthening
Yeah.
addressing this stuff. Anything, like, I think a lot of us, we suffer in silence because we said the conditioning. We feel like, especially as Black people living in America, they've conditioned us to feel like we have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And anything
Yeah.
outside of that, you're of no use. And so because of that perfectionism, and I still struggle with that, when things happen that aren't perfect and aren't great, you feel shame, you feel guilt, you feel embarrassment, and that causes you to isolate, to like go inward, don't want to talk to people, and before you know it, you kind of going through these mental health challenges. And so I'm just trying to always do what I know is right and doing the opposite of what I'm conditioned. So it's been a lot of unconditioning, reconditioning, a
Yeah.
lot of unlearning, relearning, and I'm still struggling with it. I'm still battling through it, but I'm open. I'm not afraid to like see myself, flaws
Yeah.
and all. Even if I don't like it per se, I'm not afraid to just talk about it. And I got friends who are like equally or not better with that, and that encourages me to do it too.
Yeah. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. That was someone in a vulnerable space, right? To be able to share that. So thank you. And I do hope that it inspire other men and women, right? Especially people of color, to be able to allow themselves to be vulnerable in that space. And I love what you said, like, at your core, you want to be at peace. And in my world, I feel like that is the ultimate way of living life,
Yeah.
to me. And I think that's how we are supposed to live, right, as humans. Even, society has allowed us to feel a certain way, but I think that at our true core is peace and love, and that's how we're supposed to live.
That's how we're
Yeah.
supposed to live, and just we always it's a constant daily battle.
Yeah.
It's a constant daily battle with it. Like you said, even when it comes to love, it's like just giving that out because you think like, damn, if I, you know, by all means, you loving and actually putting yourself out there to like be hurt. It's a risk in that, but that's also the beauty in it because you can experience that like that vulnerable and just level of intimacy with anybody, not even romantically, but just to like give love freely and understand and understand that it may not come from or back or reciprocated from the people that you want it to.
Yeah.
But the people that it should will understand that and reciprocate it too. So this is great stuff, man. I feel like I don't know. I feel like this is I love this podcast and what you're, building and what you have built because we got to start having these real conversations. Like, yeah, we can do the fluff shit and talk about money, talk about status. That's cool. But how are you really feeling? And that's what my thing is like as an artist, like my dream is to have the life that I want with, the material stuff is not important to me. It's more so how I want to feel.
Yeah.
And like I would hate for me to have whatever all of the trimmings of life it can offer and feel miserable inside. To do all this stuff and be single and alone and in a big ass mansion, whatever, like by myself.
Yeah.
That's not the life that I want to live.
Yeah.
And so if I know that, we have to talk about these things, we have to have these conversations, and I do get that you don't want to do that with everybody because everybody not a safe space. Everybody are not equipped to like have these conversations.
Exactly.
Some of these things can be triggering for people, which I understand. I'm always like respectful and mindful of when I'm having the conversations. But me specifically, I'm gonna have the conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it so you can really like understand that it's okay for you to do the same if you want to. So
yeah,
it's dope.
And I appreciate you for just seeing self-reflection podcast and acknowledging it, in the way that it is. And I'm hoping that it continues to grow. So thank you for that.
I mean, it will. No, thank you. I mean, like you said, you are. Anytime somebody comes and steps into this room and you interview them and you ask the questions. I mean, we all like to talk about ourselves, like whether we think about it or not. We all like to talk about ourselves and tell our story.
Yeah,
but again, it's telling our story in a way that we control the narrative. And you're somebody that's very intentional. I can tell and respectful in asking thoughtful questions that make people think about these things. And so I think it's like you said, I guess it's just a matter of understanding and recognizing what is it, because I'm even learning that with myself. Like we say grow, we say expand, but what does that really look like? And I'm still figuring it out too. Like, is it this amount of subscribers? Is it this amount of views? Or is it people who really want to be here and want to like watch what you're talking about? And I think that's most important.
I agree 100%. Yeah, and before we end our conversation talking about, you'll hear, I think we talked about media a little bit, right? Talk about music, putting out whatever music is putting out. But I think podcasts, and especially one of my mission is to be able to put a different narrative out there so that we see ourselves in a different light in a way, and I think that's super important, right? And that's why I also feel like music is super important because not to even take it there, it's like music is the fastest way to spread gospel, so and as someone sees podcasts in that same way, or what this is all about. So before we end our conversation here, I do want to ask you, what do you see the future for Neighborhood Diamond and moving into 2026? What are some, I don't know, goals or aspiration you have for Neighborhood Diamond for anyone listening?
Yeah, for Neighborhood Diamonds in 2026 and beyond, first and foremost, telling stories. That's the first important thing. Really being intentional about building community and bringing creatives from all walks of life together and talk through our creative processes in an effort to get into a groove of releasing our art to the world because it's needed now more than ever. Me doing music, that's what I'm gonna do that forever. So continuing to drop timeless music and bodies of work and in my music, which makes it so important and unique to me, is that through my music, I mean, when I say neighborhood diamonds, that's what I'm doing by collaborating with other artists,
Mm-hmm.
collaborating with other producers who I admire and I respect. So definitely doing that. And then just I think most importantly, raising money for the fund.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be my
Yeah.
main focus. That's gonna be my main challenge, but also my main focus because I really, really know how important it is to tell these stories. And so I'm speaking on the podcast now to like telling God to remove the doubt, to remove the hesitation and procrastination, all of the feelings that's going to prevent me from getting the funding that I need so that I can tell the stories for other people. So that's going 2026. Those are my main focus, and not trying to like overthink it. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
people, have like 5-year, 10-year goals, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I try to like at least be a little ahead, like 6, 7 months now. But I think I like to like let time and really let life dictate where I should go and where I should put my
Mm.
energy and time into. But Neighborhood Diamonds this is my baby, and so I'm gonna continue to like put the work in and take the steps to raise it up to full blown adult, I guess.
Yeah. I love that. Again, for our friends and families that are just going to come across our conversation today, please share your social media so we
Yeah.
can get connected in that way.
Yeah, so in terms of social media for Bryce Savoy, me as an artist, it's at Bryce BRYCE SAVOY 510. Shout out to Oakland on all platforms and all social media. That's for Bryce Savoy. When it comes to Neighborhood Diamonds, at Neighborhood Diamonds is exactly how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
On YouTube, first and foremost, subscribe. Like you said, subscribe. That's something I'm learning to do. I got from you now, so I'm gonna be doing that a lot. And then at Neighborhood Diamonds on Instagram,
Yeah.
and through Instagram on link in the bio, you can find the Neighborhood Diamonds Fund. So if you're seeing this and you want to contribute, that's the way that you can do that. And yeah, that's good for now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I also want to thank you for taking the time to come on Self Reflection Podcast, because I know you're in town just for a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So for you to take time away from your parents and family members to be here, I appreciate that greatly.
I appreciate you, and
Yeah.
I would say this is the perfect way to start the new year. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining me on Self Reflection Podcast. I hope that this conversation was enlightening. I hope that you found some type of value in this conversation as well. Also, I want to remind us, if you have yet to subscribe to Self Reflection Podcast, please go ahead and hit the subscription button. I'll greatly appreciate it as we seek to grow our community here. And again, thanks to everyone that has subscribed to Self Reflection Podcast. If you think that this is a conversation that a friend, a family member, co-workers can gain value from, please share it with them, right? We don't want to be gatekeepers when we find something that is like a diamond in a ruffle.
Yeah.
So go ahead and share a Self-Reflection Podcast with your friends and your community. I just want to say one thing I gained from this conversation that you shared today is don't be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah.
I want you to end this conversation with that, please.
Okay.
However that feels like for you, and sharing this information to anyone else that's listening.
Yeah, I'll make it simple and quick. Be yourself because all the other lanes are taken. Nobody can be a better you. And nobody can do what you can do because nobody has the story, the experiences, the lessons, the challenges, and obstacles that you have. So don't be afraid to be yourself. Keep shining. And as always, be worldwide.
I hope you have a blessed day. Take care of yourself, love yourself, be kind, and be gentle with yourself. Until next time, you're listening to Self Reflection Podcast. And this is your girl, Lira. We were what?
That's dope.